Have you heard of SEX-TORTION?
SEX-TORTION?
Yeah.
How's that work?
That one's airing tonight, actually. But it's out on Hulu already. But it's a horrible crime. It's a crime that's growing. And it's basically you start chatting with somebody online. That person eventually asks you to send a photo of yourself, a compromising photo or a video of yourself, and they'll send you a photo or video back. And it's mainly targeting teens, which is really sad, American teenagers. And then once you do send those photos or videos, the person says, well, I have all the contact information on Facebook of all your friends and your work and your parents and your school, whatever, and I'm going to send this to everyone if you don't send us money right now. And the really sad part of that is that we spent time with parents whose kids committed suicide. And within the span of like a couple of days. So they started chatting online. There was this kid called Jake in Utah, so sad. Was contacted by what looked like a beautiful girl on a Sunday night. By Thursday or Friday, he'd committed suicide because he was too embarrassed that his friends and his family would see those photos.
Oh, God.
It is horrible. But amazingly, he left behind a letter for his mother and instructions on how to access his phone so she could see what had happened to him and also who he had sent money to in the hopes that she would be able to investigate or send people to investigate. And the American authorities did. They found that the people that he was sending money to were in the Philippines, but that was it. Like, there was nothing else they could do because it was a foreign country. And so we set out to the Philippines and tried to figure out who it was behind this scam. And we found the whole community of people involved in this scam and scamming millions out of Americans.
And do they just use stock photos of girls?
Yeah, stock photos of girls. A lot of them, interestingly enough, are actually trans people. In the trans community, we spoke to a drag queen, for example, who was scamming a lot of people. And during COVID, what happened is that they usually do drag queen contests. So they make money that way, or work at clubs, and a lot of them lost their jobs during COVID, and they had no government assistance. And so they found a way to make some money this way by sextorting Americans. Yeah, and that was super a crazy journey too. Just one of the scenes we filmed was we spent time in a prison with a guy that was in prison for extorting Filipino women, and it was sort of the beginning of our investigation. We were trying to figure out if he was connected to anyone else, thinking he was like sort of small fish, just extorting people in the Philippines. And then by talking to him, he basically admits on camera while talking to me, but actually I've done this to many, many Americans, and one of them, and I asked him, do you know anyone who's committed suicide? Because it's a huge problem in the U.S. He was like, yes, there was one man who was married. He was an engineer, I believe. And he committed suicide after we extorted him. And I said, how do you know? He says, because his laptop was on and we could see it. And I was like, wait, did you not try to stop him? I was like, no, because we heard people saying that they were going to commit suicide, but they never did, so we thought he was bluffing. And then we saw him as he dies on camera.
Jesus.
I know. I'm sorry. This is the most depressing podcast
rough.
You've ever done.
No, it's not, unfortunately. But it's horrifying. It's just horrifying, the cruelty that people are capable of, that they would do to strangers just for money.
Yeah.
And especially for young kids, to take some teenager, some easily manipulated young kid, and trick them into doing something.
Yeah. Or the desperation also that leads to it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, why? That's your only option to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was a heavy one. But
I mean, sextortion is essentially the whole theme behind this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing.